Today's video is drawing a sci-fi manga style elf. Now if you've ever thought about doing this video might help out. Now I'm using a blue pencil because one, it's a bit easier to see than a really light pencil that I'm pressing really lightly with, and two, it's like old school comic book technique, and I just quite like doing it because it makes me feel like a professional, you know what I mean? So I started with a circle. I drew the lines and the eye guidelines, then I added the nose and the mouth shape. And then I was like, you know what? Let me sketch out some of the body first before I do the hair and stuff, because that's a big decision. And so I started off just starting doing some body form, and I'm trying to decide the pose that I was going for. And it's just a bit of character design. So this is one of the 8 legs that is going to be in my manga. The 8 legs. You can take or leave what that means. But what I would ask if you have watched this video so far, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, just to help try and push this. Like, I'm really trying to keep going with this YouTube channel, and those things really help push the videos. So back to this. So I'm starting to use like cylinder forms and make sure that I'm understanding the angles and adding those lines in just to help me get some guidance. Now, then I grab a pencil and I'm like, let's start committing to these details, okay? So it's only a minor commitment because it can still rub all this stuff out, right? So I start going through and I start adding the hair, and I'm like, you know what? Femme fatale, short hair, but I want some elf ears. I don't know why the elf ears. I don't know why this person was an elf. I just felt it. I felt like this person needed to be that. So this is a bad elf. Every bad elf needs some horns and some blades and spiky things on their arms. And also like this weird robotic kind of vibe going on. Robocop slash Lord of the Rings elf. The camera dropped. Sorry about that. I could have edited it out, but you know what? This is life. I feel like sometimes it's easier just to show what happens when you're filming a video. I grabbed a pen, started really committing to these things now. Now these lines, once they're there, like, I don't like having to black out or grey out areas or try and rub up my pen or make some magic happen. So I really try and think about, is this what I want before I go to the pen. So I just started adding the outline to just make sure I'm colouring in the right areas, really. And this is kind of where I decided that I want it to be like a structured suit, you know, like in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where they had the armored suits that gave like the other abilities, kind of like that, but with a more sci-fi look, and still a bit fantasy-esque, in order to kind of fit in with my manga's theme and the world that the manga's set in. Now the horns, I think the horns are going to be way more important than just adding some horns. And the blades on the arm are going to be part of her fighting style in particular. But on the back, I think they are going to change slightly and maybe form something else. If you can guess what it is, then why not throw that in the comments. I'm just carrying on to going around adding these details using my guidelines, but as you can see here, I thought the hands were too big. I didn't want it to have massive hands. I think it just looked a bit off. So I started to make the hands a bit smaller. Now I didn't go back over the guideline. I just decided what to do with the pen, and I think it worked. But the point here is more that even with the guidelines, you don't always need to follow them, especially if it's not feeling right. You're more than welcome to change it up because it's your drawing, no one else's. And to be fair, if you rub it out, no one would ever know. So what difference does it make? Oh, my big shiny head got in the way again. I apologize. So I really do need to learn where the camera is and where not to put my head when I'm drawing. But I like to look up close to the paper sometimes, and sometimes that interrupts with the filming of it, you know. something I'm gonna have to get used to and maybe change the setup around and play around with the setup. But that will come. So I started to add some block color shading in, and then I was like, oh, this eyelash, I love this eyelash, but how am I gonna show it? So I just did thinner lines, so it can still show that there's the darkness of the hair there, but I can still see the detail that I wanted. And I think this is something I'm going to carry on when I'm actually producing the manga, to add the details. This is a little technique that I'm going to try and use and utilize to make sure I don't lose any detail that I really like or want to show. Whilst the story is the most important thing, for me the artwork is like super important too. um I know different people have different opinions on this, so if you want to share yours, please do in the comments. Like I ask always, just be respectful. But yeah, like what's like your most important thing in a manga? Is it the artwork? Is it the storyline, the power system? Is it the growth of characters? Like what makes a good manga for you? So I have sped this up a little bit just to try and make it so you haven't got to sit down and watch me make all the decisions and thinking time and all this. I think it's like times 10, so I was drawing this for about an hour and 20 minutes. But that was me like deciding what the character was going to look like from scratch. I had a little bit of an idea what I wanted, but to be honest, like this was the process of me doing the first sketch of them. So still have to think of the name. I know they're kind of like background story, but the name and everything I haven't finalized. Now with this, like the hair again, like it's shorter hair. I want to be able to see the ear. I want to be able to see that it's like an undercut. So I just did it shorter. I'd probably just grey it out if I'm honest in the actual manga, or use like the Bende dots to show the shaded area. But for now, this works fine. Just going around and thickening out some of these lines because I wasn't really happy with how thin they were, and also adding like some 3D elements because I didn't want it to lie super flat. I wanted it to show that it was like an external skeleton. So I did that, and then I decided that I should probably add some like connecting points that were a bit thicker. I also wanted to add some like arm pads, not like super Robocop, but you know what I mean, like at least something to show us a bit robotic. So that's what I was talking about with the little pads and stuff. Now, this is the bit I thought was I really like about this character, and I wanted to try and do, and I want to show the muscles underneath. So it's like the skin's been removed in elements of her body, and it just shows the muscle fibers, the shapes and where they interact. Also, like the white bits of the muscle where like the tendons and the ligaments are. I just thought it was a really cool aspect. Let me know your thoughts on it because I can change that really easy. But if people like it, I'll definitely keep it. So I went round and I added like the rest of these muscle fibers everywhere, and then I shaded it in with some color pencils. Now I just shaded it because you know what, the rest of my images are black and white. The manga is going to be black and white, and the color I really want to do on my tablet, so I can do it digitally and add other effects. Um, so yeah, here is the finished image coming up. I hope you like. Let me know what you think.